Welcome back to the Optional Boss Podcast. This is episode 58, and honestly, we could have a topic. We've been kind of dealing with a ice storm. We are a little delayed on actually getting recording, which gives us less time to actually do a proper editing for today's episode. So we are accidentally doing a Oops All Rambles episode. With that said, Tyler, how are you doing?
I don't think we're going to get many opportunities to blame our lack of creativity on natural disasters.
No. Well, when we're out of power for like over a week, like that's a lot of stuff that we got to deal with.
Speak for yourself.
Also, big shout out to K-Bash. Thank you so much for joining us again. If you're going to hear this or not, still thank you.
I miss him already.
Tyler, how are you doing?
I am doing better now that said ice storm has passed, and I have hydro and heat. You know, for all those who may listen to us who may have been affected, I feel ya. That sucked, but you know, we got through it. I hope you have as well by now. But
one of the best things during that though is having a Nintendo Switch.
Well, okay, so that's actually what I was going to say is, given the fact that I had no power for a full week, the strong appreciation of the handhelds that I have accumulated has very much come in handy. Having two Switches, didn't have the Switch Lite ready on the go, but two is still fine, and also a Game Boy Advance and an abundance of batteries. So, needless to say, my gaming has been a little limited in the last week, but since we last spoke, so I was playing Flint Hook, and I dropped that like a sack of bricks. And it's not because the game is bad, it is because for something, as I mentioned, with that like standard roguelike fare, you know, you want a long run should be like an hour to maybe 2 hours. You know, that's in
a roguelike, yeah.
That's a beefy roguelike all the same, but when, I don't know, it probably took me about an hour or so to beat like 6 levels or so to get to a boss in a, let's say, chapter, and then the last one was like, now do 12? Take too much of my time. So, had a look at the old shelf, and I picked Inscription back up. And
nice.
Yeah, and have since finished it off. I'm not going to go into great details because it's one of those games that you recommend it as something to play. You don't recommend it by telling what's in it, but to give the broad strokes for those who do not know, it is a really cool card game, sort of game, with a little bit of blend of escape room puzzle solving. And it's got a really cool, creepy, intricate story. It's a good time. I highly recommend Inscription.
Yes, it. I know when I played it, I had a blast. Now, I've played his other games too, so I kind of knew what kind of wacky stuff, like, or rather, there was going to be some wacky stuff involved. Obviously, it's always going to be different, but like he did Pony Island, he did the Hex. The Hex is a good time. It like mashes a bunch of different genres in together, but then like each character is like, so you got the platformer, and you kind of go through his story. So it's kind of neat. It's like that is their job, is how it's portrayed.
Interesting.
So like the platform, they're all at a bar, and it's a murder mystery. So you got to find out who did a murder, and so you got the fighter. So he plays in fighting games, but they're all treated like that is their job, that they're individual people.
That is pretty cool. I like that concept. I'd be very down to check out more of his work. It was very well done. And just for anyone who enjoys like a solid card game kind of thing, yeah, Inscription's a great time. And alongside that, because using the Game Boy Advance, I decided I would try and tackle another Pokemon Nuzlocke. They always go so terribly. But yeah, I booted up Pokemon Sapphire and only played it a little bit so far, but it's been all right.
Nice.
How about yourself?
So I finished up Graveyard Keeper.
Yeah.
It was kind of to the point when the Switch, the optimization of Graveyard Keeper for the Switch is not good. It drops frames, it slows down, and it will crash, unfortunately. But still had fun with it. So I wrapped that up, got to the end, didn't do everything that was available. Mainly because like there was certain like DLC elements that it would just stop at a black screen and crash out every time I tried, and then I'd lose that progress. So it's like, okay, I got to go back. So there were some bits that I couldn't play, which was kind of a downer. At that point, I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to wrap it up and be done. Still a good time. I don't know if Switch is a good way to play it, especially since I found out that they left DLC off.
Ah.
Because the Switch couldn't handle it or something. And to which that I say, the Switch could handle it, it just was not optimized well.
Well, didn't the physical copy of that take forever because they wanted to put more content on the cart?
Yes. So there's 4 DLCs, and they only put 3 on the cart.
Well, that's a bummer.
Yeah. And if you do play it, definitely like PC or something a bit stronger. Highly recommended. Switch is not the way to go on that.
Oh.
Still a good time.
I feel like it's the kind of thing that would at least... I know you don't do much of the handheld gaming, but I do think like those farm sim-esque games, they are good kickback on the couch with the handheld kind of games.
So, funny you mentioned that. One thing I did notice, because yeah, I'm not much into the handheld. I can never get comfy. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm getting old, but I can't rest on my shoulder. I can't like lean over, and I can't just like I can't get comfy playing handhelds. But when we had the power outage, like I wasn't a full week or anything. I was about 50 hours, and so I was still in the midst of playing it, and I found that it ran better handheld.
Some things do. It's quite strange,
Yep.
and I think it's because they can manage to like working at a smaller resolution. I'm not about to get into the tech jargon, but it does seem that sometimes handheld is your better way of performance. It definitely makes a lot of things look nicer.
Yes, and that just kind of blew me away because I figured there was something else going on, but yeah, no, the fact that it ran better handheld mode than now. Granted, I had it on the kickstand, still using my Pro controller, but yeah, it that kind of blew me away. I was not expecting that. Mildly amusing though.
Switch comes to save the day.
Yep. So then obviously ended up getting power, finished it off. I went back to Thymesia, and that was actually a really good time. It's like a fast Souls Bloodborne style game.
It looks neat. It looks like something I would try out if I saw it like on a sale or something like that.
Yeah. So I got it quote unquote for free because I have a PS Plus premium. So it was on that service. So, and like I said before, I think I said before, it was on my wish list when it first came out, and it kind of got like some questionable reviews, and then it's like, well, it's here now, years later.
Yeah.
Still no idea what happened story-wise, but the ending wasn't all that exciting, but some of the bosses were just fantastic. They really had some good set pieces. They really were a lot of fun to actually fight. The ending was okay. Like you have like the hunter's dream, and I'm going to spoil it a bit for you. Maybe because I'm oblivious to what actually happened. Like I don't even know what you were doing, but it's essentially like you go into a dream and you're trying to recreate your memories. And the ending is just like, okay, you collected these souls. Which 2 do you want to merge? And it's like, fuck if I know. But merge them into this green crystal, then I stab the crystal, and it gives me a still image with words on it about what happened. And then credits. It's like, okay.
We put all our effort into the game. You're at the end of it. Here you go.
Yeah, story was not a strong point. But you know what? Like going back to that whole B game topic, sometimes it's just nice to play a game for being a game.
Well, and that's kind of what it comes down to, right? Is you can at least just enjoy playing it, and if you had fun, the rest is just there.
Yeah. So I've kind of moved on. And by that I mean like I didn't know what I haven't. And it's like, do I really want to replay a game? Do I want to start something new? And it's like I was looking at the Plucky Squire, and it's like, I want something a little more thought-provoking. So I started up a new game of Factorio.
And he's gone, ladies and gentlemen.
We've talked about that enough, I'm sure. So I don't plan on going all the way through to the Shattered Planet or anything. I just want to get to Fulgor and Volcanus.
I can't.
And then I'm going to be happy with that.
Yeah, I can't fully criticize you because when it comes to like, what I'm on to currently, it is something I have played before. But we've discussed at length, it would be nice to give Blasphemous 2 another go. And
Yep.
so I picked up its Mea Culpa DLC and started a new file from scratch. And though I haven't had as much time with it as I would like, I have made pretty decent progress. And yeah, it's just a good
Now,
time.
have you come across any of the DLC stuff?
I have like there has been nuggets of DLC like there's stuff that I can definitely recognize as new. I don't think I've like fully like got knee deep into it, but there's the odd area that I come across and was like this seems new, or there's some new enemy types and stuff. So it is. I like how it's sprinkled through naturally for a second playthrough that I'm like not as familiar with this one as I am the first. So
Right.
it all
So,
feels new, but some stuff feels newer.
with that said, so like we were both excited for Blasphemous 2. We both really enjoyed Blasphemous 1. Maybe too heavily, so we had a lot of bias going into number 2. I know, like, as much as I can enjoy it, like I found it was pretty good, but nowhere on par with Blasphemous 1, and I don't know if that's because looking at it from critical eye or not. Um I haven't done a second playthrough. So as someone who has started a second playthrough, how are you feeling about it this time around?
Significantly better, actually, because, yeah, though I enjoyed my first time around, it felt like I was just playing through it and getting to the end, as where the first one, like, I have on quite the high pedestal. So,
Yes.
I got through it, I'm like, that was good, but meh. It was something that happened. Um, as where now it's much easier to just take the game at face value, and I have been enjoying it significantly more. It is a fine Metroidvania. Am I going to say it's better or worse? No, but I'm liking it a lot for what it is. And funny enough,
Like
actually,
it could be worse and not, or still be good,
I think it's easier to look at
right?
it.
So
It's different, and because it's different, it's not to be compared to.
right.
Um, and so yeah, it's a lot, much less critical eye. And also, my canonical buddy who comes and chills sometimes has told me that he recently picked up both Blasphemous 1 and 2 in a sale,
Ooh.
and he just finished the first one. Now, he's not like super familiar with the Metroidvania genre, but he
Okay.
was drawn in by its just jaw-dropping visuals, and I'm sure also the praise that I have heaped upon it as well.
Oh
And
sure. But let's the visuals of these games are absolutely wonderful.
oh, it's
Like
just
for
jaw-dropping.
I've always said like I'd rather pixel art than like a early 3D look,
This is
but
a pixel masterpiece.
pixel art has come so far. And you wouldn't think so because it's like we've had the technology, but like pixel art has come so far,
The
and
technique has
it's
definitely evolved.
insane.
Yeah.
It is insane what kind of look you can get to these games.
So he finished off Blasphemous 1. He just got, I believe, the standard ending that anyone would on their first playthrough. I'm not going to go into spoilers. We've discussed the game ad nauseum.
Yep.
And yeah, now he's planning on jumping into Blasphemous 2 right after, which is very exciting. And
Now, does he have the DLC?
I don't know about that. I know Blasphemous 1 had the DLC baked into it. So
Right.
he
But he
did.
probably didn't play the DLC of the first one if he just did the standard ending.
So you still
Because
have access
pretty
to the
much
new bosses, but you don't have access to the new storyline. So
right, because you don't get that till New Game Plus.
yeah. But all the same, no, he had a great time, and he's much more intrigued by the Metroidvania genre, it seems, which is always
And also,
exciting to see a new face.
absolutely. And like we've talked ad nauseum about Blasphemous, but just like the thematical settings and how it tells its story and all that is just it's cryptic like a Souls game, but it's so well thought out. In the first one, anyways. Second one, I feel like it is a little lackluster. Still has that pizzazz to it and that depth, but just not as much.
I think the second one didn't come across as striking because we'd already been here before, right?
Maybe
So
it's entirely possible.
I do find like some characters and set pieces a bit more memorable in the first one still, but that
Yep.
doesn't mean that I don't think the ones in the sequel are still very impressive. Yeah, yeah.
That just there's some things that you come across in Blasphemous 1 that you will never get out of your mind, like how you upgrade your health.
Yep, yep.
In number 2 as well, And so this is going to be a semi-spoiler for Blasphemous 2. But nothing... I don't know if haunting is the right word, but there is a man who... I don't know the full story, I or don't remember it, but like took over the role of his wife after she died. And the miracle gave him a breast, so he was breastfeeding his baby.
Babies that were made of wax.
Babies that were made of wax.
I do not remember. I haven't reached that point again yet, so I don't remember the purpose he serves. But I know that it was quite the quest line.
They made it way too graphic.
Yeah. It's
but I mean that goes in with its disturbing setting, right? Like even when you're upgrading your, I believe it's the health, and the lady's skin starts peeling away.
Yep, that's her whole penance. Is she's just she's not the skin outside. She's everything underneath. So just slowly, as you get more upgrades, she's just got less and less skin being peeled off her.
Yeah, and it's, I don't know why, but this is gonna make some people cringe. It always reminds me of, like, just underneath your nails, how you get the little bit of peeled skin.
Oof.
And it's like one of those just keeps going up your finger. That's all that reminds me of. It's just
don't like it at all.
That makes my skin crawl a bit. Just thinking about that.
For those at home, I think the best way I can describe the grotesque things in Blasphemous, they're so disturbing you don't want to look, but they're so hauntingly beautiful you don't want to look away. Like, it is fascinating what they've done with this art style.
It's a religious train wreck.
Something to that effect.
You can't look away.
But, what do you think? Should we get into some gaming news, some exciting stuff, some just fucking words?
I think we can just, honestly, for this episode, because we're doing like just more rambles, which is essentially just a elongated intro for the entire episode. Do we even need a little pause here? I don't think so.
No, let's just talk about some games.
Couple episodes we were talking about the Switch to Switch 2, and the Switch 2 Direct came down. Neat. I'm a lot of it we kind of speculated already. Just kind of figured it was going to be a more stronger Switch. Was a little surprised by the 4K capabilities when it's docked. 1080 when it's not docked, and I mean, you know what? That's honestly that's perfect. If people were wanting a 4K while it's handheld, I think it would be a little unrealistic.
I don't think my eyes can process that.
Well, that's just it. Like, the smaller screen, the less higher resolution that you need.
Yeah.
Because it's pixels per not inch, but it's how many pixels that are on the screen, right? So
yeah.
4K on such a tiny screen, I think you wouldn't get the benefit that you think you would.
It looks too good for my pure little eyes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some people have been complaining about the price. Granted, we don't actually know what the price is going to be because the world's on fire right now.
Yep.
But if it's around the $450, $500 mark, that doesn't surprise me at all. Especially when it's spec-wise, from what I'm gathering, it's just above the PlayStation 4 Pro, which is fine. That's the Switch was underperformed. There's very rarely a Nintendo console is peaking performance in the console market.
Honestly, though, this kind of a powerhouse compared to what they normally put out. It's weird to hear Nintendo talk console specs, and I can understand why they did it because, that's what people are after these days, right?
That's the name of the game nowadays.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
But at the same time, it's not too dissimilar if we go back to the console wars of yore. This one's got 16 bits. Well, we've got 32 bits now. So it's just, the evolution of that whole concept we've now run into.
Well, at the same time, what people don't realize, and I think it was the Atari Jaguar, had 64 bits before the N64.
But it didn't. It was a lie.
Like most things, like blast processing
It was 2 32-bit processors.
That's still technically 64 bits. Whether it's in the means that people respect that terminology by, but
yes, it wasn't true, but it was a powerhouse, kinda. But no one bought it.
When it worked. Keyword, when it worked.
But yeah, we have a much more powerful system to look forward to, which is very exciting.
It's about what I was expecting. They had some interesting game lineups. And I think it's kind of funny because if you think about when the N64 came around, or if you are too young, when the N64 was coming around and they stuck with cartridges, Square Soft at the time kind of veered away and went toward the PlayStation 2 for their next grand title of Final Fantasy VII. And to see that the remake is actually coming back to a Nintendo system is such a poetic turn of events, I think.
So I mean, we had stuff.
It's also getting it before Xbox.
That is pretty wild. We had some stuff, obviously, that we knew that was coming. Like their big showstopper system seller is going to be Mario Kart World. And I mean, we don't need to get into it too much. It's a really good-looking Mario Kart game. Like, I'm intrigued. I might get it. Maybe not on launch, but right away. But that's their solid Switch 2 new game for you all. But then...
Yes, and people have been asking for a new Mario Kart for ages.
I want to say when they were like, okay, we're taking this seriously, and there had been rumors that it was going to get Elden Ring, but then seeing it confirmed that it got Elden Ring, I was like, okay, so now we know what kind of console we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
And am I going to get it? Probably not. I'm fine with it on my PS5, to be honest. But at the same time, it's really cool to see, like, that's where we're at now. We can play Elden Ring in handheld.
The one thing I don't know is, does that version of Elden Ring have the DLC?
See, I don't either. It's its own thing, like the Tarnished, including the base game, Shadow of Erdtree expansion, new armor, and new torrent appearance customization feature. What?
Neat.
Ah, crap! I might get Elden Ring for the Switch too. Yeah, no, that's really cool. That it's getting a complete. You know what's weird? Something that like I didn't really get hyped about because it was something I knew existed, but now that the excitement has passed and I've had more time to think about it, we're getting Hades too.
Yes,
that's so cool.
But did they say that it was going to be on launch? I don't think it actually had a date.
I don't think so. I think it's just it is coming out first for console on Switch 2. But at the same time, you know, I've been saying I'm super excited to play this game. I just want it to be quote unquote done before I play it. And now,
because it's just like the first Hades. It was in early access for a while. It still would be in early access until it's actually released.
Yeah.
But that's exciting. Like back with Hades 1, like you, me, and one of our buddies used to do speedrun competitions afterwards, like after we did the story and everything. So we were doing like who could get the fastest run, and like we aren't speedrunners by any means, but it was a lot of fun just having that kind of competition, and just the game itself was great.
Oh, it's such fun, addictive gameplay loop, and such a compelling and well-told narrative. All of the dialogue, like it's not often that a game with built-in voice acting, but also just like text boxes that I'll actually sit through and listen to them say everything. But the performances were just so good in Hades, and the music was incredible.
So there's one thing that I have a massive bias against, and I honestly have no idea. It's just, I find like any game that has voice acting that is 2D, or not 3D, I'll say, the voice acting is usually just subpar at best. With
Oftentimes.
That said, Blasphemous had really good voice acting. Hades had wonderful voice acting.
Blasphemous eventually had really good voice acting.
Yes, they did go back and redo all the voice acting.
In that base game, some of those readings were rough.
Yes, especially Chrysanta.
Yeah.
So, yeah, who is it? Supergiant Games?
Yep.
Who does it?
Their first actual sequel as well.
Yes, it is. So I played a couple of their other games, mainly Bastion. And it was always a good time. And the voice acting in that was actually really good when it came out. Transistor I never played. I have it on Steam, but just never got around to it. I've seen some of Pyre. What was the other games that they did?
I think that's it.
I thought they had one more. Regardless, Hades kind of continued on with that trend from my perspective anyways, of really good voice acting in it. And Yeah, Hades 2. That's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. The one thing.
Also, they said one thing that we were kind of predicting, based on rumors that were all around, is the fact that the Joy-Cons could be used as a mouse,
Yes.
and
And
that is exciting, actually.
their debut game for the mouse feature, which I have dubbed Legs, which is probably not the best title for it because you don't actually use your legs in a wheelchair. But it
Yeah,
just so as soon as this does look really cool. For those who don't know, it's called Drag X Drive, I believe, and
yep.
it is, I think it's called rollerball. It's basketball in a wheelchair. I have seen this like actual sport, and I know sports don't really know them, but um, and so you hold the two Joy Cons, the two mice, and you kind of like scoot along like you're using a wheelchair. It is really cool implementation of the technology. All I could think about was arms.
Yeah,
This
I think that's
is
going to be the same kind of thing. It's going to be a tech demo type thing.
this looks like the Switch 2's arms. Oh, speaking of tech demo, okay, so this had me really hyped initially, and now that I know more, I'm very bothered by it. And it's the Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, which
Yes,
is a game. It is game software, and it is essentially. This was cool because I was like, oh, they're taking a page out of PlayStation's book with
with
Astro's
the
Playroom.
yeah.
Yeah,
Until
and
you
turning
realize you had to pay for it.
the fact that this is like, I don't even know. I think it's supposed to be cheap, like $10, but the fact that it's even paid software for what amounts to a fun tutorial of your console, I'm I'm
This should have
not
been a
gonna
pack
get
in.
this. Yeah, this should have very much been a pack in. You know, I don't think it's going to be as bad as like 1-2 Switch. I don't think it's a full retail release, or if it was, dear God. Um, but yeah, it's just a museum dedicated to your new Switch 2. Like,
Yeah. But you know
oh,
what? When Astro's Playroom did it, it was fine. It was free and it was really well done. This could be really well done, but I don't see people who want a gimmicky tech demo to be paid content.
no, especially when, like, if I have the option to test out my new console, I could get this paid tutorial or I could just get a game. I think
Yep.
I'm just going to get a game.
The
Um,
one thing that does have me kind of hype is Metroid Prime with the mouse.
so
Metroid Prime 4.
So here's the question. Are you going to get the Switch version and upgrade it, or are you going to get the native Switch 2 version?
I would rather get the Switch 2 version.
It makes sense. It seems like, get it for the console it's launching with, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It would just
It
be
looks
like
great.
getting Breath of the Wild for the Wii U. Yeah, it was available, and some people are going to get that, but I might as well get the one that's dedicated to that upgrade
Now,
when I
I don't
eventually get a Switch 2.
I don't know if it's because I haven't really I played a bit of Prime. I still haven't actually gone through the Prime remastered, but from what I saw of this one, it it looks like they almost took a page out of Doom Eternal or just the Doom reboot. It looked a lot more fast and frantic and in your face than
Yes.
previous Metroid Primes.
I mean, Metroid Prime Remastered was great. I'm a little upset that we didn't have any kind of like news on 2 and 3
Yeah.
remastered. Because I honestly, I've only played a little bit of Prime 2, and I haven't played Prime 3. Played Prime 1, beat it a couple times now. And the remastered I did 100%. Um, from my understanding, the other two are much better, more so 2.
But you gotta
Uh,
start somewhere.
yes, but like, if you think about when it came out at the beginning or near the beginning of GameCube, it was something else. A lot of the design choices and everything made sense for its time.
Well, it's also like first person shooters hadn't really hit the ground running like they have now. And to see Nintendo taking this franchise, turning it into a first person shooter, which was very experimental, but still keeping the core DNA of what made Metroid Metroid.
Yes, no, absolutely. So Prime 4, I'm excited. The fact that it has mouse controls is neat. One thing I'm actually kind of curious about is, do you have to use the Joy-Con as a mouse, or can you plug in a USB mouse?
See, I feel like they're going to be very much. I wouldn't be surprised if they release a mouse, but I feel like you'll have to use the Joy Cons for the fact that there
The
is
Mouse Pro.
the Nintendo mouse. I think the fact that the mouse also has gyroscope functionality for the Switch, which they did
Yep.
show off, I believe, in the Switch tour, um, it will probably be exclusive to that.
Yeah.
But on the note of Metroid Prime being on Switch and Switch 2, so they have announced that not like full blown remasters, but some notable Switch games are be going to be getting Switch 2 upgrades, which is not unlike what the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 did upon its release.
Yep.
But they also seem to be upping the content that's in some of these games. Like some are just performance upgrades, which is honestly fantastic. Like they, and we all heard the rumors, but Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, they're getting upgraded versions to work
Yep.
better on the Switch too. And I'm not gonna lie, like seeing the performance of these games be actually good makes me want to play them again.
No, that's fair.
Yeah,
Because I mean, there was some spots it chugged.
yeah. But fuck that. Kirby's getting more content. Oh, oh, I'm so excited. Kirby and the Forgotten Lands upgraded version, just like it's like an expansion to the story or something. That is my
That's pretty
reason
cool.
for a Switch 2 right there.
Well, given your love of Kirby, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, it's so exciting.
I am kind of curious on what they're going to add into it, though.
I don't know, but you want to know where the upgraded Switch games became a little bit more concerning?
Yeah.
Um,
Are you talking about the game card key?
no, not yet, not yet.
Yeah.
So another one of the things that they announced to have enhanced Switch 2 version was Pokemon Legends ZA. Now, I understand why, because that is a game that was announced and is coming out for Switch. But the fact that they're saying, and now you'll be able to enjoy this game with improved performance and frame rate, just makes me think that they are just outright telling us that the base version on Switch is gonna run like shit.
It could.
It's
Now,
not even out yet.
one thing that they have said is it will support up to 120 frames per second gameplay in handheld, I think, at 1080
I
or
want to say
60.
no. I think it's 60 in handheld and 120 docked because the dock actually improves functionality now.
Right. Also has a
Yeah.
cooling fan, which is probably a good call.
It's more than just a cord hole.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, so it's some neat stuff. They're adding in voice chat into the system, which you do have to pay for, and the C button for the chat.
Oh, the C button. Nintendo is so horny to tell you all about their C button.
Yes,
Oh, and okay.
it's like a worse Discord.
It is like a worse Discord. Now, here's my thoughts on this. Where Nintendo, I'm proud of you. You've finally stepped it up and made what everyone else has already been doing behind your back more accessible and understanding to you. But also, as someone who primarily plays single player experiences, my C button's gonna get dusty.
Yes,
So,
but you know what? It's fine. It seems to be out of the way on the new Pro controller, anyways.
I don't
But
think I
yeah,
need the new Pro
it's
controller.
I feel like the Switch 2 online editions are not going to be that stupendous given the track record. I'd love for them to prove me wrong, but Nintendo's online stuff is just garbage. Not the game library. I just mean like their online play has always been a laggy piece of shit.
They've never really
And their
been the
store.
best when it comes to online connect. I really hope there are improvements to the store. My God.
Oh god.
But
But also GameCube. GameCube to
Did-
Switch Online.
it's about time.
People are finally going to get Wind Waker after all this time, which is amazing because I figured that Nintendo of all companies would actually sell that.
I mean, it's not off the table that we'll still get the Wind Waker HD port because it is different in some way. That's
Yep.
kind of why, as exciting as it is, I'm like, all right, because I just played Wind Waker and a quote unquote better version, pending on who you ask. But just the fact that we're getting the service at all and that they've announced coming to the service are some rather expensive games to acquire. Like they have
Yes.
Pokemon XD coming to the service, which is like $400.
Yep.
Chibi Robo, which is stupid expensive, and also something I'm very excited. And I guess Luigi's Mansion's coming, so I have
Yes,
no
that
more
the
excuse.
best Luigi's Mansion game.
Yeah, so
Luigi
and
Man. It's just because like okay, so I'm saying this. I know I'm biased, and I haven't played Luigi Mansion 2, but I've seen like playthroughs of it, if you will. Luigi's Mansion 2 and 3 are very similar in their quirkiness and their gameplay style. Number 1 plays like it wants to be a Metroidvania, and it has like a much darker theme to it.
I mean Nintendo Dark, but all the same, it's
Yes.
funny how I would say Luigi's Mansion 2 and 3 are a little bit more in line with with their own flavor of it. Like a standard 3D Mario romp, it still feels very Mario, very Nintendo, as
Yeah.
where Luigi's Mansion 1 in the fact that you're in the one mansion and the puzzles and the progression and whatnot, it's almost like they took a page out of the old school Resident Evils, which
Yes.
is kind of hilarious to just plop Luigi down in one of these scenarios, right?
Well,
And
one of the big things with Luigi's Mansion 1 is they really wanted to show off the GameCube's new lighting technology, lighting
yes,
and shadows technology, which they did spectacularly. But they have
but
that technology now, so they're just like, yeah, let's just make it about sucking up ghosts with a vacuum. And cool. Luigi's Mansion 3 was fine, but nothing compares to that first Luigi's Mansion game. And it's not very long, unfortunately, but it's much darker than Nintendo usually gets.
it was a different time. I'm so okay. What would you? Because they've only announced a handful of games, and I'm hoping they go in the direction that they have with like the other Switch Online, which they have actually now renamed to Nintendo Classics. But you know how once they kind of exhaust the main Nintendo highlights that they're willing to put out, they kind of start doing these left field third parties and stuff.
Yep.
What would you like to see on the GameCube Online?
Eternal Darkness.
I could see them doing Eternal Darkness one day. I know it's like its gimmicks won't age well because we don't have old CRT TVs and
No.
memory cards and stuff, but I mean it's still just an interesting relic.
And that's just it. They need to stick to their relic. That's
So
what made them special.
what I'm hoping we get, and it's not too out of left field, it is a in-house Nintendo title, or at least it's a Nintendo published title, which Custom Robo. I would love to see
Oh
that
yeah.
come to it. And I know like that was the game that we did their episode on like games that passed us by. That was the GameCube game that I was like, if I had a GameCube, I would have this and I would play the heck out of it. I did emulate it a little bit, and to my surprise, it's also an RPG.
Oh.
And the GameCube didn't have much of those. Like, it doesn't have turn-based combat or anything. You like customize these little toy robots and make them fight in arenas. But like otherwise, yeah, it's just a standard RPG.
Interesting.
I am intrigued.
No, that's pretty neat. That would be cool to see.
It,
I would like to see some solid titles from the GameCube that didn't get like mass appeal get on there.
Give us the Crash Bandicoot games on GameCube and the Spyro games.
Oh God.
I'd try 'em.
Yeah, the ones that they know they won't be able to resell.
I think I have one of them. I think I have not Twin Sanity. Uh Nitro Kart, I think. It was like the Crash Bandicoot knockoff of Double Dash on GameCube.
Oh, didn't they re-release that? Or that was Crash Team Racing?
Yes, they rebooted
Right.
or at least remade Crash Team Racing, which is a much better game. Um no, the one that I'm thinking of, I think it's Nitro Kart. It does the same thing where like you have two different people driving the car and you can swap back and forth, and like whoever's in the front, that's the kind of car you have, in the back that's the weapon. Like they straight up ripped off Double Dash. But it's got the Bandicoot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, something else that was announced. Deltarune.
Yeah.
Love me
yep.
some Deltarune 1 and 2. Not going to continue on until I can play through 1 through 4. Because I think that's going to be the end of it. I don't actually know.
I don't know, but I think if it's not, it was said that the rest would be free updates, which is nice. Like this is the first time Deltarune's going to be paid for.
Yes.
And it's like you're paying for everything that's available right now, which is very nice. I also saw something that I guess the Switch 2 version of Deltarune is going to have like a room or an area or something exclusive to the Switch 2 because it will only have playable controls that are doable on the Switch 2.
Oh.
Which, I mean, or not, I said Tony Hawk because I got Tony Hawk on my screen right now. Toby Fox, eerily close. Ever since he like got in good with the Pokemon Company, he's just like he's a Nintendo guy now.
Wonder why.
Also, we're getting Tony Hawk. Pro
yeah,
Skater
that one
3 and 4.
I don't. It's funny because I got the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 remaster for PS5. I've played it a handful of times, but it's just kind of there, and it's kind of sad because it just shows how much my gaming taste has changed. Like I played the living shit out of 1 and 2 growing up on PlayStation 1. And so I obviously had to get the remasters, and now it just kind of sits there getting dust. I didn't have as much fun that I remember I used to. And this is where nostalgia can kind of be a crutch sometimes, right? Is because we have these beloved titles. We remember having so much fun with them in our head. And at the time we definitely did. But then going back to it or having a remaster of it, depending on the title, it's kind of neat. But that's about
I mean, I was never really one for skateboard culture, and I feel like it was easier to get into it even if you weren't because it was a big thing. Not that I'm saying skateboard culture's dead, but it's just like now, it's just a nostalgia game.
Absolutely.
In other things that I don't care about, but admittedly are neat, is so we've made it very clear: sports are not our thing. But the fact that the EA Sports games and also Madden is coming to Switch too, because I don't think there was a single Madden game on Switch.
I don't know, to be honest.
And there was some well, they're very off our radar, but I know when it came to like the big EA Sports title, like they just really didn't come to Switch.
Yeah.
So, and that to me, EA doesn't do much for me, but at the same time, it's nice to see just a lot of third-party faith on a launch for a new Nintendo console because they could be pretty shaky for stuff like that. But there's a lot of random stuff.
Yes. One thing that's going to be very interesting to see what they end up doing is the game key cards. And this is something that I don't like, but I like it better than what they previously had.
I get it.
And what I mean by that, like, obviously we're both physical collectors. I know, Tyler, you said that you were not going to collect as heavy for the Switch 2 as you did the Switch 1.
No, and I think, like, I'm still going to collect for the Switch 1. I think it's still going to be relevant for a few years, not unlike how the PS4 still is.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be a bit more selective, like I am, like, with the PS5, where I'm not as super hyper-fixed on getting everything physical. If I see something and it's got a decent price on a digital sale, I'll get it.
So, from my understanding, these game key cards are essentially what the Switch 1 had as download codes. So where you open it up and it's just a code in a box, in a Switch 1 case. This is actually a cart with the key on it. So, I mean, at least in that sense, I don't know if it's going to link to your account that way or not. But hypothetically, if it doesn't link to your account, you can still sell this like at a pawn shop or to a friend or lend it to a friend, and they'd be able to play the game. So, as opposed to code in a box where it's stuck on your account, I think it is better, assuming that is the case.
It's weird how it's like the middle ground between digital and physical games, where you have a transferable product now and it solves the dilemmas, like for example the Mega Man Legacy or Mega Man X Legacy Collection, even the original, how one was on the cart and the other one was code. Now the entire thing is digital. You have to download it when you plug it in, which is where, like, for me, it loses a lot of its luster as a physical product. Because I like the fact that, until, like, the end of time, all connectivity dies. But I can still pop in my copy of Rustler into my Switch, and I can still play Rustler. It's a bad idea, but I can do it. As where the game key card, if for some reason my Switch gets turned off, lose the memory, and there's no connection, it is just a piece of plastic. Who knows how long they'll keep these servers up, right?
Yeah,
but
I obviously haven't tried, but like with a Wii, can you still download updates for games?
I
Because I
don't
know the
think
shop is
so.
obviously out. It's turned off.
No, I don't think so because it's the same with like the 3DS, how its servers have been shut off. So yeah, you can't actually boot it up for like any more DLC or free updates or anything.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
even if you've had it before, you can't re-download that kind of stuff. So
Nope.
that's going to be the case with these key cards.
Now, that said, if I buy a game and it's a game key card and I want to lend it to you, I can still do that. And that is
Yes.
at least a really good middle ground.
Yes. And
So,
what concerns me about it though is how many publishers are going to go that route instead.
I would like there to be a lot of transparency on what's on cart and what
Yes.
is game
Like
key
the
card.
download code in a box, it's clearly labeled on the cases
Yeah.
for the Switch 1 at least. So I'm imagining something like that for game key cards. I hope.
Yeah.
With that said, good on CD Projekt Red because they have announced that Cyberpunk 2077, and I'm assuming its DLC is all going to be on the cart.
I had a good laugh when they said Cyberpunk was coming to Switch 2. Am I interested? Still about the same as I was. Like, it seems like a good game, but it's not really my game. But I do know that CD Projekt Red is very dedicated to giving you the product that they are selling you.
Well, you got to also remember that CD Projekt Red owns GOG, and they are strictly DRM free downloads.
Yep.
You don't need a launcher, you don't need any of this kind of stuff. You just have the executable and you can run it. So, and I know with the Switch 1, when they released The Witcher 3, the Wild Hunt Complete Edition, it was all on cart.
You got the whole shebang.
So, and that's not a tiny game.
No.
It's probably one of the biggest Switch cartridges out.
I feel bad that when I booted it up and I played it for like an hour, I'm like, oh, I don't think I like this. Maybe I didn't give a shot. I wasn't in the open world mindset, but I will say it's impressive.
It's hard to be in that kind of mindset nowadays, personally. For myself, anyways.
Yeah.
How'd you like the dick tease that Nintendo did in their scissor reel?
Oh yeah, Silk
We
Song.
we can't not talk about Silk Song.
I
We've
think
talked about Hollow Knight ad nauseum in little spurts, almost like Nintendo did with Silk Song. We love Hollow Knight. It is absolutely fantastic as Metroidvania, and just its mechanics and boss fights are fun. You never did the God challenges, right? I forget
no.
what they're actually called. They were a lot of fun, and I never did beat God,
It's
what are
like
they called
True
now?
Radiance or something like that.
Yeah, it's the one where you have to fight 52 bosses in a row.
Yeah.
I've been to the end multiple times where you are fighting the final boss. Oh, I cannot do it. But to see Hollow Knight Silk Song be mentioned officially in some kind of official capacity and with a date of 2025, this doesn't mean anything because they've said this before.
Yeah.
That's damn exciting.
It is
It,
exciting. It's
it
nice
gives
to
me a
know
little
that
bit
they're
of hope again.
alive.
Yes.
Yeah. And not only that, it's interesting to see Hollow Knight, this charming little indie title, is now up here with like, and same with Deltarune too. The fact that these aren't like, they're not relegated to like an indie direct or anything like that. These are with the heavy hitter, like this is our console launch announcement, right?
Yes.
Like this is where we got stuff like, and I know it wasn't received quite as well as they would have liked, but things like Octopath Traveler with the original Switch launch, stuff like that.
So I do want to point out just the fact, and we've been on this this train before, but Deltarune or Undertale, they are not. How do I put this? They're very stylistic, but it is not like enhanced graphics. It's not blasphemous pixel art. It's not. It's not amazing 3D, realistic 3D graphics or anything. And this just goes to show that like graphic fidelity does not make a good game. The game still has to be good.
Never doubt the power of an incredibly striking art style. And I mean, Undertale and Deltarune are incredibly minimalistic, but at the same time incredibly iconic within their minimalism.
Yes. So it's, and I see so much discourse, and maybe we are the minority in this now, but people just saying like, "Oh, this isn't going to be good because it's not like it. Look at the graphics; it's not that real and whatnot for like what Switch or Switch 2 can do." And it's like, well, that's it's nice. The cool graphics and all that are very nice, absolutely, but that doesn't make a game fun.
No.
And I'm tired of this discourse, and I'm never not going to get over it. I know that for a fact, but like, good graphics does not make a good game. Period.
Nope.
And I wish more people would actually understand that. There's a good amount that do, absolutely. But just seeing the discourse all over the place, still,
It just takes you back to the PS1. You remember the PS1? You remember when you said Symphony of the Night looks like shit? Look at it now.
right? I
Doesn't. Still
I know.
not the most enthralling game, but it's very pretty.
It's one of those things that I could easily go on a tangent for a long time, and I'm gonna try to avoid to do that.
I want to replay it still. There was a lot of things announced for this Switch 2 announcement. My goodness. But I think what's funny is so like what was it? Like not even 2 weeks before, maybe a week before, there was another Nintendo Direct, just like a regular one.
Yep.
And I think that Direct was like, I don't know, like 30, 40 minutes, and they pretty much crammed all of that previous Direct into like a 3-minute sizzle reel.
Yeah.
There was some pretty awesome stuff announced at that last one too. Like we got reaffirmation about Dragon Quest 1 and 2 remake, which, I love Dragon Quest 3 remake, so I'm gonna get those. But
that was another thing I was going to actually look into diving into. Okay, so yes, I ended back in Victorio, but there's so many games that I had on my mind that I should dive into, and I couldn't pick one, so I went to something familiar. But there was Dragon Quest 3, the HD remaster. I end up getting the Suikoden 1 and 2 remasters. Plucky Squire. It's just okay. I
this is the problem.
I do have a physical of Lunar 1 and 2 remaster coming. A lot of remasters, but I mean these are things growing up I never got a chance to actually play.
Well, see, that's where
some of them I don't know if I would have liked back then or not. And it's hilarious because, like, pretty much all those things I mentioned, aside from the Plucky Squire, it's in a genre that I never thought I would be a diehard fan for.
Here we are.
Which is the RPG. If you go... Okay, don't go back to episode 1. It's terrible.
Do it. It's funny.
we did not know what we were talking about. We were so... I don't want to say high-strung, but we were so stiff.
Rigid.
Yeah, rigid. I've mentioned multiple times that I'm not like the biggest RPG fan, but yet I can appreciate some of these stories that they made back in the day, and looking at it from the time that it came from, it's the same reason why I still play some of these remasters that come out today, like the Tomb Raider games. Granted, those I did play a bit. I don't know even how much I played of those, but maybe it was just Laura's house and I used to jump around everywhere and just that was it. I don't remember, but like some of these RPGs that I never got a chance to play, and I know they have solid fan bases. I'm excited to dive into some of these. And like,
you know what though,
Dragon Quest is what inspired one of my favorite series in RPGs, and that's the Mother series.
So I think another point to it as well, as far as like things missed in the childhood, because the gaming landscape has completely changed and evolved since we were young.
And you're never going to be able to play everything.
No, but a lot of these games would have had not even been that accessible. Like when we were younger, RPGs didn't really sell well, so they didn't really pump out many copies of them. So it wasn't like you were going to just stumble upon a Suikoden or something like that when you're at your local place you can buy games, right?
Yep.
So, and it's because of that. So probably my biggest announcement from the previous Direct was Raido Remastered, and so this is a spin-off of the Shin Megami Tensei series, but I don't even know. I think it's like an action RPG sort of affair, but just to get one of these weird random PS2 spin-off side games remastered, oh, so exciting.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of Shin Megami Tensei, and I actually got it for you, but I never did give it to you. Shin Megami Tensei 1, the ROM hack for an English translation.
Yeah.
That it's funny because when I went to I first put it in my Super Nintendo and popped it in, and it's like played for like 10 minutes, and it's like one of the first things that I see is a Super Nintendo game saying the word "fuck," and it's like, oh,
So
okay,
I don't know much about the first two SMT games, but I do know that they are very mature in tone and also for what they have to them, surprisingly disturbing graphics. And they
I
were also like probably one of the biggest reasons we didn't get it is because back in the early days of gaming, it was like no religious iconography whatsoever. It would have to be scrubbed or changed in some way in localization. And that shit's the whole point of SMT. So,
yeah.
what are we gonna do? We gotta edit all these sprites of people crucified to crosses, and like, what do we even call them? Like, I don't know, like Scarecrow Man.
Yeah, and
Just
it's
a
definitely one
little.
of those things that is it's definitely rated M, and that would have been around the time I'm taking a guess here that they started bringing the ESRB in because we didn't really have the ESRB for
Oh,
NES, did
not
we?
No, it wasn't until the early '90s and like the days of the Sega Genesis.
Yeah,
Actually, beyond the Sega Genesis, because it
it
wouldn't
was
have been
Night
until
Trap.
Night Trap, which is a Sega CD
Yes,
game. Yes. So yeah,
yeah, because it had
they weren't
the FMVs in it.
they weren't about to let that fly.
No,
Um, Also, new Rhythm Heaven game. I've never played one, but God, they look charming.
I didn't get too into that one. One that did catch my attention though, which is another rhythm game, and we've talked about rhythm games like the theater rhythm games and all that kind of good stuff. Um, Rift of the Necrodancer, which is like
Ah,
a
yes.
spin-off of Crypt of the Necrodancer, which is a roguelike rhythm game. It's a lot of fun. But it looks like a Guitar Hero style. I didn't
It
understand what
looks
was going on, but it kept my attention.
So I've been keeping my eye on Rift of the Necrodancer, waiting for it to come out, and it has now come out on Switch, but physical as it do. Uh, but it looks like it's got a little bit of Guitar Hero to it, but also like a little bit of WarioWare in it. Like it seems like there's some random rhythm-based mini games and scenarios in it.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm intrigued. I didn't play a lot of Crypt of the Necrodancer, but I did like it, and I really, really liked the Zelda spin-off that they did.
So I was just gonna say this is like, correct me if I'm wrong. Uh, has Zelda ever been given to an indie studio before?
If we don't count the CDI,
Right, because
um,
that was under license.
the
Um,
closest thing I can think of, and this wouldn't have been indie, but it would have been a smaller team of a studio, would be when a division of Capcom was handling Zelda games.
right. So
That would be the
no
closest
indie.
thing I could think of. No.
Because I mean, in that sense, you could talk about the oh, what is it? Dynasty Warriors team doing the Age of Calamity and stuff, or
Yeah.
Hyrule Warriors.
The
No,
only thing,
this is like a
like,
straight up indie team who got their hands on a Zelda IP, which is baffling for one, knowing how anal Nintendo can be. But it was
so
really good.
only two other scenarios that I can think of, and they don't even really come close because they not only got the Zelda IP, but they were allowed to do their own thing with it. As where Sonic Mania, because that was handled by an indie dev,
Yep.
um, and then the only other thing I can think of, which kinda doesn't count because it was a free giveaway, but I mean Capcom did officially release the Mega Man Cross Street Fighter game that was an indie project.
Right.
So,
But even still, like that's third party stuff.
yeah.
Not and
Here's
yes,
the IP. Have fun.
there's similarities there, but at the same time, like this is Nintendo. Nintendo don't let anyone fuck with their shit.
No.
It's a
No,
big
that
no
movie
no,
was
right?
hard enough to make. Yeah.
So how they got
No.
that, I don't know.
No. But yeah, just a whole bunch of random oddball announcements. Everybody's golf. That, I'm kind of excited. It just looks better than Mario Golf.
That's honestly not hard.
Yeah.
The issue with the latest Mario Golf, Super Rush or whatever, it seemed wacky and frantic in the trailers and everything. When you actually play it, it's like, okay, this is
Yeah.
like, I know we talked about this off air before, but like if they added in like a Mario Kart aspect, like give us go-karts and whatnot and have people slip on bananas and that kind of shit, throw a green shell at someone so they don't get to their ball as fast and you're racing around the actual course like that, add some kind of pizzazz to it instead of just manage your sprint meter and get to the ball as fast as possible. It would have been a lot more fun.
You know, it would have been neat if I'm like, I run up to my ball and I'm trying to line up my shot, and you have the choice of either going after your ball or coming up to me and hitting me with your golf club.
Yep.
It could either be a battle, although I feel like most golf games would just devolve into people just PvP. So, and I guess speaking of PvP, so to round out the Switch 2 announcement, they had one last really big like third-party announcement, and then two big in-house announcements. How did you feel to the Duskblood trailer when that first came on?
I don't know, to be honest. It's I saw it and it's like, whoa, what the hell? Okay, this is getting my attention. Why not? Then it was like, okay, so they're redoing a style of Bloodborne, but they clearly can't call it Bloodborne because Sony. What really killed my enthusiasm about it was knowing that it's a new multiplayer game. Sorry, it got my attention when they brought up the FromSoft partway through the trailer, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
But then when I found out it was a multiplayer experience, and like it's dedicated multiplayer experience, I'd rather play Kingsfield.
It does sound like it's kind of like an extraction-based game, which, I mean, yeah, that's not really my
each
cup
their
of
own.
tea.
If that is your cup of tea, awesome. I hope it is fantastic, and I hope you have a
But-
lot of fun with it. It's not what
Now,
I'm
that
looking
said-
for in a FromSoft title.
No, but I also think it's kind of wild that, like, your stop and make everyone look in your direction thing now is to have a game made by FromSoft for you.
Yes.
That is wild.
Well, especially like they've done Elden Ring, and Elden Ring we knew about for a long time, and everyone was like, we knew about Elden Ring since shortly after Sekiro came out.
Yep.
Elden Ring's been out for a while now, and we don't know what they've been working on. They came out with a new Armored Core, yeah. They came out with the DLC for Elden Ring, but we don't actually know what their next big title is. So when people see the FromSoft logo in a brand new IP, I'm not talking about like, because this is their second multiplayer game they're coming out with in like a short period of time, because we had Elden Ring Night Rain.
Well, we haven't got it yet.
No,
yes.
but it's coming. And then, so it's not even out, and they already announced a brand new multiplayer game.
Yep. A Nintendo exclusive one.
Yes, and I don't know how that's going to fare for them.
I don't know. It's got a 2026 release date. I'll keep my eye on it because I am intrigued.
Oh, absolutely. But
yeah, it definitely took a lot of the impact away finding out that this wasn't like a brand new single player style Souls game, right?
Yeah. I know there's a good portion of people who do PvP in the Souls games. All the power to you. It's not my cup of tea.
That's not why I play it.
No.
But
at the same time, if it is up your alley and you like the multiplayer games, I hope it is absolutely fantastic for you.
But
I'm never going to say it's going to be bad because I don't like the direction that it's gone. That's just no.
Kirby's back.
Kirby's back. Yep.
Kirby's back. He's riding a star for Kirby Air Riders. Oh my god. So I never played Kirby Air Ride. It sounded like a stupid fun game, and it's Kirby. But I also think it's hilarious that like people are like, "Oh my god, Kirby Air Riders! That's so exciting!" And then they drop the directed by Masahiro Sakurai, and then it's like, "Okay, now it's a big deal."
Poor man just doesn't sleep.
But it's nice that he's not doing Smash Bros. Again. You know, like, I like Smash Bros. A lot. Yeah, I'm down for another Smash Bros. In a couple years. Sure, why not? But at the same time, I feel like this is one of those things, like, I'm doing this because I want to.
Then the last game that they announced that's in-house is Donkey Kong Odyssey. I mean, Bonanza.
Bonanza. So this game, it's so weird. I finally kind of give a shit about a Donkey Kong game. Um, this looks really fucking cool.
It does. I want to see more on it.
It does seem very Mario Odyssey with a Donkey Kong twist, but it also seems like super fast and frantic and fluid. Like the way that you're like moving along and destroying the objects and throwing stuff at enemies, and it's like transforming into platforming all in one swift motion. Like this looks like a game that would have a lot of really cool flow.
You know what? If this is done in a like new mechanics, new kind of play style, but designed like Donkey Kong 64 in a sense of level layout and whatnots, and it's still collectathon, I think that could work.
I would like it to be.
Otherwise, I could see it getting very boring very quick.
So I'd be down if it was like a toned down Odyssey, right? Like, you know, instead of 1,000 collectibles, give me like, I don't know, if you want a big number, like 300, I guess, and make it a little bit more densely packed, and it's not like I'm just tripping over objectives left and right.
Yeah.
I think so. And I know there's a lot of contention with this. A lot of people aren't down with Donkey Kong's new design, and admittedly, I don't love it. But at the same time, when you watch this trailer, how like cartoonishly expressive he is, I think complements the weird new art style.
It does. So, it absolutely does. Because Donkey Kong is honestly just more of one of those quirky characters.
Well, he's always been this very angry portrayed guy, right?
Yes,
he's like Nintendo's version of the Hulk.
I mean, maybe it's just more on the CGI cartoon that they had.
That was an abomination. An abomination from Canada, no less.
Yeah.
But happens. I think, you know, Donkey Kong has actually had, like, you know, he is a goofier character, right? He is. And I think it's finally starting to... It really shows off that kind of cartoonish nature that he does complement.
Yeah.
And he's got overalls, which is just funny.
Yes. Well, they finally gave him pants.
Bonanza.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what actually comes out of that. If it's like a Kirby Forgotten Land, but with Donkey Kong, I mean, I'm alright with that.
That's alright. I've already got more Kirby and Forgotten Land coming.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting. And that's, well, okay, we skipped over a lot of things. The fact that we even mentioned sports, like, thank us, people. But yeah, it's a pretty solid looking launch for this console. We'll talk into the headaches that like come with getting the console and price another time when the world finally figures it out. Yeah. You know, we're not going to become the Switch 2 podcast until this comes out.
I mean, this episode wasn't supposed to be all about the Switch 2, and here we are.
Turns out there was a lot to talk about.
There was.
Yeah. So I don't know what's of all this crap that we've gone over. What you looking forward to?
I mean, Silk Song.
Silk Song's gonna be exciting.
We'll see. Witchbrook, just because Chucklefish always has anything that Chucklefish puts their name on seems to have really good, colorful pixel art too, and I'm all for that.
You know, for all of my not multiplayer talk, Witchbrook seems kind of neat, just because, like, and I don't really care for Harry Potter. Oh yeah, Harry Potter's coming back for Switch 2. Have fun, people. Yeah, it looks neat, but the multiplayer aspect is what's actually kind of drawing me to it.
Oh, is there a multiplayer aspect to it?
In Witchbrook?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like heavily multiplayer focused.
Really?
Yeah. No, that was like its big selling point. It was like you and your friends can just like go to this wizard school and like live in this town and shit.
Huh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. It seems like the kind of thing, like, think of like Stardew. You could do it, enjoy it single player, or you can enjoy it multiplayer. One of those kind of games.
Fair.
Yeah.
Speaking on the multiplayer front, as much as I'm not a big multiplayer person, I do have a special spot in my heart for co-op party games. And maybe that was just from the old age of me playing Mario Party as a kid growing up. Don't really care for Mario Party nowadays, just it's not as good unless you got a group of people in the same room.
You get a good group, it's a good time.
But something that I did just realize, and I don't know if it's actually out on other things at the moment or not, but it is coming to Switch 2, is Human Fall Flat 2. And if you haven't played Human Fall Flat, it's It's a fun, adorable puzzle game, but like everyone's kind of ragdoll. It looks kind of stupid, and you got to try and work together, or you could troll your friends, and it's good fun. It's very physics oriented.
It's funny because I know Human Fall Flat as that game that was one of the most expensive Switch games, and then it got a retail release, and people got mad.
Yes.
Yeah.
So to see Human Fall Flat too, that's kind of neat.
Hmm.
Not hold my breath on Duskbloods, but I hope it's good.
I'll keep an eye on it. That's where I'm at with Dustbloods.
Yeah.
But no, I think the thing that I'm most hyped for what's coming out, if we're talking Switch 2 exclusive, hilariously, I'm most excited to play Soul Calibur 2 on the GameCube Online.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually kind of funny because like our past few episodes, we've actually mentioned the Soul Calibur 2 on Nintendo systems.
We talked about it in the last episode, and it's back in POG form.
No, it is something that we didn't actually talk about. Enter the Gungeon 2.
Oh, that was... That game makes me so mad. It's so good, but I'm just, like, I don't know if I suck at it or I just have bad luck with it because it's a roguelike, but, like, I think I've only ever gotten as far as, like, the boss of the third floor. So, but Enter the Gungeon 2 looks like a proper Evolution sequel.
There's one thing I will say. When it comes to roguelikes, especially, but in general, I would count you as the better gamer out of the two of us. So the fact that I have beat Enter the Gungeon and you haven't is kind of astronomical, but I also have more time in it.
That is very true. And it's not to say that I don't like it, but the game just keeps kicking my ass.
It is a good time.
Yeah. Now, Hades 2, a lot of twos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Except for Silksong. Not called Hollow Knight 2.
That is true. No, I think the thing I'm most excited for is actually probably Raito Remastered.
I can believe that. I mean, you're a big Atlas fan, right? And it is Atlas.
It is Atlas. It is SMT. It is weird. I am all for it.
Yeah, can't say I blame you there.
Yeah. And I'm excited to get a Switch too. It's exciting to, last new console I got was the PS5, and no knock against that, but it didn't feel super new. Like, just felt like I got something to play games. I don't know. Maybe it did feel new when I got it.
But at the same time, like, you were a year and a half into PS5's life cycle when you got it, where you plan on getting it on launch, right?
At or close to, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll get it on launch, or if I'm going to wait till, like, maybe a year in, which is around what I did with the Switch 1. Now,
I think with me, I'm excited to play Switch 1 games on it.
So, one thing with the Switch 1 that I've been seeing, and again, this is speculation, of course, it's going to be emulation.
Oh, like you plug in a Switch 1 cart and it's emulated onto it?
Yeah.
I could get on board with that.
Yeah, if it works properly, yeah. I mean, as long as I can still play my stuff and it's standard.
But I mean, realistically, if I can't, I guess I'll just use one of my other Switches.
It's actually very bizarre, because just so we can kind of get off the Switch 2 topic and into something else. Thinking back, like, a lot of my gaming landscape didn't actually start changing from like PC only into consoles until I actually started talking to Tyler.
Yeah, I have that effect on people.
Because, like, back then I was playing a lot of first-person shooters. I was playing, well, probably Factorio, Ark, Space Engineers. It tends to be a lot of grindy, like, comfort games in that sense. And it's so bizarre to see, like, how much my outlook has changed during this time. Because, like, you got me into getting the Switch, and then I ended up getting a PS4 so I could play Final Fantasy VII Remake. And then, like, I got into retro collection. Now I have an NES, a Nintendo 64, a Super Nintendo, all on my shelf still, with my Switch. A PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 on my shelves still.
I cursed you with the desire to have more stuff.
And it was just, it's just fun. It's nice to have that kind of hobby. But just, I didn't play single player games for the longest time. and it kind of reinvigorated that because it's like, okay, now I'll use my consoles to play some of these single player games. Because I mean, I was playing a lot of Counter Strike and upwards, just first person shooters from like the original Counter Strike.
It's funny because I do recall, and I know we mentioned this off air the other day, that like when we first started talking to each other, like the game that I was playing at the time, and I recall mentioning to you, I was playing through Shin Megami Tensei 4 on the 3DS. Like, you mentioned yourself, you're not much of a handheld gamer, let alone RPG, and meanwhile, I'm like, here's the deep end of it.
Yeah.
And what would I have been playing as well? I think I would have been playing like a lot of Monster Hunter on the 3DS. It would have been strictly 3DS because I hadn't gotten my Switch yet. And when it came to anything on the PC, I was like, oh yeah, on Steam, like I play like Binding of Isaac.
Binding of Isaac, which yes, I did know. There's also like Project Zomboid you used to play?
I did play quite a bit of Project Zomboid, yeah. It's one of those games that's just fun to boot up, even though it's pretty aimless. I'm sure there's huge communities behind it, but at the same time, for me, it was just like, let's see how long I can live.
Yep. No, and it's bizarre how much gaming taste can change.
But there was also a fair bit of commonality. I mean, I want to say we both had at least... Like, I know I loved the Metroidvania genre, but you had dabbled into it a fair bit, I think, prior.
I don't even know if I did. Like, I can't really say. Because I don't know what Metroidvanias I would have played.
Maybe Axiom Verge?
You got me on that.
Oh.
Yes. Which is bizarre because I hooked right onto that. And you know what? Maybe that's why I hooked onto it, because I'm not going to say it was my first Metroidvania by any means, but it was definitely one that it reinvigorated playing consoles and stuff. And then I went like dead set speedrunning that game.
Yep.
So it, then I just kind of went into a downward spiral of like a lot of just indie games and away from the multiplayer stuff.
Yeah, and then it became...
I played a lot of World of Warcraft too.
Here's a good question. I don't know if you would recall. I don't recall what it was. But what, to your knowledge, was your first limited run purchase?
My first limited run purchase?
Yeah. Was it Celeste?
No, because Celeste I got out of a marketplace group. Because I got that and Arc the Lad off the same guy. The Arc the Lad collection for PS1.
Ah.
I don't know.
Right? Hard to say. Because I can think back, like, I got Shantae, I got Golf Story, I got Celeste. There's a couple handfuls that I don't think you had even considered limited print physical options yet. You might not have even had a Switch yet.
It's very possible. I know, like, my copy of Golf Story I got from B-Side Games as they were closing down, so it's all in Japanese.
Which is nifty.
It is. There's a slipcase for it, but I had to take that off and hang it up somewhere. Well, lean it up so I don't puncture it or anything, but, oh, God. I know one of my first ones was...
Did it also come with a cassette?
No. It came with a sticker of a cassette.
That's what it was.
I want to say that one of my first limited print games may have been Divinity Original Sin 2.
Oh, weird.
Which is Larian Studio, who did Baldur's Gate 3.
Weird, because that's not one I picked up.
Yeah, it's, you know what, I'm going to see, you talk for a minute, I'm looking it up. I'm going to see if my thing goes all the way back there.
Yeah, because I know I was responsible for the poisoning of the limited printing, which has ended up becoming quite the collection now, my goodness.
Yes.
And then, of course, there's the joy of, like, the retro hunt. I very much remember, like, the whole, gonna go out for the weekend and go hit up the usual spots back when retro gaming was mildly affordable to collect for.
Oh, shit. Okay. Alright, trivia time.
Okay.
My first limited print pickup, or limited run games anyways, was a game that we have talked about today.
This is a game that we've talked about today.
Yes.
Is it Blasphemous?
It was.
Nice.
I was going to say, I thought it was Blasphemous, and it's like, nah, there's no way. No,
Well, and it's funny too because I was thinking about it. Like there was the messenger, but I picked that one up for you because I
yes,
found it randomly.
yes.
Yeah, which was definitely lucky because that game is okay. I can't say it's gotten expensive because it is getting a reprint with all of its content and random sidebar towards the end. People play the messenger. It's fucking awesome.
It is really good. And Sea of Stars,
Yeah,
Tyler.
and so, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I gotta finish my Nuzlocke and play Blasphemous 2 again, and probably Mega Man.
No, it's bizarre because I've always clearly been a gamer and I've always loved games. It is bizarre how much my opinion on games have really turned around just by like switching up and start enjoying something else and breaking up that
Right?
monotony. And the reason I'm really bringing it like that is because I know there's still people out there who will not touch an indie game, or very few and far between, and it's always going to be the same thing. It's going into the multiplayer games and sit down, try something that you might enjoy. Take
Give
another
peace a
look.
chance, man. Play Robopon 2.
I I know when I first
Or
played
maybe.
Blasphemous, I didn't really care for it, and I used all the help I could and trying to. Now I can just sneeze at the game and beat it.
Oh my god, it's so good.
And I know there's been times that you're like, oh, it's actually pretty easy. Like the Souls games. I played 3, but I had a lot of help with it on PC. And then I ended up getting Dark Souls 2 for Switch. Or sorry, Dark Souls 1 for Switch.
Yeah.
Didn't play it, and it was around the same
Did I
time
beat
that
Dark Souls 1 before you?
yes.
Whoa.
And I lent it to you.
Yeah.
PS5 came out and it's like, okay, I want to try Demon Souls. And it was just something about the series that I really wanted to get into and try. And then I struggled with Demon Souls, but I eventually got it. And now it's, again, another cakewalk. And now going into any Souls game, like, they're some of my favorite games to play now. And it's something I never thought. Because every time I looked at the Souls series, I'm like, it's so stupid. It's just a bunch of like, okay, good, blah, blah, blah. And no, I get it. And it's, people change up, try something different. Try something that's out of a genre that you would normally do. Try some of these indie games because these indie games have a lot of passion in them.
I'm much more open to games than I once was. I tried Minecraft. I didn't like it, but I tried it. I bought it.
Well, you can see the appeal in it.
I can see the appeal, yes. Is it appealing to me? No. But will I hate on it more than Skyrim? To be determined. Actually, no. I will hate on Skyrim way more.
I get the appeal of Skyrim, but it is definitely not for me.
I also bought that.
And you returned
and sold it. No, I sold it to someone. It's like, you can enjoy this? Go right ahead.
Yep.
It's funny because I think it's actually become like one of the rare Switch games now, and I could give a shit. Like, it's whatever, it's gone.
Yep.
I'd rather have Rustler.
Well, it's Rustler.
Oh my god, I'd rather have a Rustler. Well, what do you think? Should we wrap up this rambly episode 58 for the fine folks at home?
I think so.
Yeah. Oh.
And so, a little bit of a heads up to anyone listening on Spotify or some of the podcasting services, not on YouTube. Some of our episodes got hit with a copyright strikes.
We're that big now, people.
Apparently. So I'm working on getting them changed and re-uploaded. So if I don't know what's going to happen if I put them up. It's going to be like, hey, new episode. Hopefully not, but so if you do see, there's 4 episodes in particular. If they do end up being re-uploaded and you notice, hey, this is out of order now, that's why. Me and Tyler are still in talks about getting something for YouTube that's a little more interactive than just our logo. So hopefully that's going to be coming soon. And outside of that, Tyler, do you have any kind of news, podcast news for anyone?
Stay tuned. You might get to hear me talk about Mega Man, which I have teased heavily. I talk about Mega Man all the time. What am I saying?
Yes.
Would
love to do an actual like Mega Man episode. But
we'll get there one day.
We're going to save that for a potential guest. And this is, we kind of said it last year, but we are going to try and get some more guests this year. Because those episodes are always a lot of fun. And
we're just gonna keep getting K-Bash. We're gonna trap him here forever. K-Bash, I'm sorry if you hear this. No, it'd be very exciting to bring some other people on the show. It's always a fun time.
Nope.
And
We've talked about getting Toady back. Would love to see Krev come back. Obviously, K-Bash is probably going to be back in a year. We'll try and aim it for an
spring.
Year.
In the spring.
In the spring.
Yes. Yeah, I'm excited to ramble more on about this new exciting future in gaming we may, or possibly about retro. I just stay tuned, people. You might enjoy it.
Absolutely. In the meantime, you can catch us on Blue Sky, Optional Boss PC, or on Twitter, maybe, or Instagram. It's always going to be the same, Optional Boss PC. With that said, don't forget to check out our YouTube, since it's all on there. Give us a subscribe, leave a comment, leave a like, do all that kind of good stuff. In the meantime, we will catch you next time.
Bye!